Of the probe. Tonight's show is about you, it's about me, but more importantly, it's about the future of our young ones at the senior high school level. Ghana stands on the cusp of a significant educational transformation with the introduction of a new curriculum for senior high schools in the country. Now, ahead of that, let's explore the vision behind the new curriculum, the key changes and the benefits it brings, and what it means for students, educators, and the future of education in Ghana generally. Why do we even need a new curriculum in the first place? What is wrong with the curriculum we now have? These and many more are the key questions that many of you are posing. But I've been checking also with NACA, and for them, they are supposed to be having a review every 5 years, according to what we are supposed to have. That's the National Council for Curriculum Assessment. Every 5 years, they're expecting to undertake a review of the curriculum that is in place, all the way from the basic level to the SHS level. But let's take a look at what has happened so far. 2007 was when we last reviewed this particular curriculum that we have. 12 years down the line to 2019, and that's where some of the questions have come up, and of course, we'll get some answers right here on the show. Now, moving on with this new curriculum, like I've been saying, at the basic level, we've seen some changes also happen. So there's been phase 1 all the way to phase 5. And that includes KG 1 and 2. We've had the phase 2, basic 1 to 3, phase 3, basic 4 to 6. Then the phase 4 is JHS 1 to 3. And then phase 5 is the SHS 1 to 3, where we'll be focusing on a lot more tonight. So you can see that for phase 1 to phase 3, September 2019 was the implementation period. If you look at the status, is green, means it's done. And then phase 4 has the JHS 1 to JHS 3, 2021 to 2022. The status for that is done as well. And we are told that that BC that will be written next month, they will be undertaking that particular, new curriculum and the new exams for that. These are things that we'll get to take a look at as well. You see that the status for that also is green, meaning it's done. And then the focus for this evening is the phase 5, which is the SHS 1 to 3, which is yet to be done. Tells you is red, not yet done. And that's where the focus will be when we take a look at it. Now, the key focus of the new curriculum, we are told, is a focus on the 4 R's, which is the reading, the writing, the arithmetic, and the creativity. And you see what I did there with the creativity, trying to highlight the R in all that. And then the focus will be on mathematics and science as the fundamental building blocks for success in the area of technological advancement, and then ensuring that basic school lays the solid foundation necessary for tertiary education. But really, that's just scratching the surface of it, and we'll get into details tonight on this. So that's basically what we know, and that the old versus the new, the framework presents a paradigm shift from an objective-based curriculum to a standards-based curriculum, which is in line with global curriculum reform trend. Well, the Director General himself of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, Professor Edward Appiah, is my guest tonight right here on the show. Good evening, Prof, and thank you so much for joining us here on the probe. And thank you for joining us, because I know that you've been up and about the whole country, and joining us this evening. We don't take it for granted at all. And we're all ready. Your questions are ready also on all our social media platforms. We'll get talking shortly. Please hang tight. I am MFR Pau, and this is The Probe. You're welcome back to The Probe here on the Joy News channel. We're also on all our social media platforms. DSTV is channel 421, GoTV is 125. On all our social media platforms, we are very well available on myjoyonline.com. And Professor Edward Appiah is my guest tonight. He's the Director General of NACA, and we are talking the new curriculum for the senior high school. Thank you so much once again for joining us in the studios, Prof. So going by your own policy framework, at least, we've been taking a look at the slides. And it appears that the last review was 2007, even though per your own policy framework, you're supposed to be doing it for every 5 years. What happened? Why?
Thank you, Emefa. And first of all, let me applaud you for the good work done. At least I can see you've done some good background activity, and that's good.
Thank you.
We will probably drag you into our activities. And so let me also take this opportunity to wish my numerous fathers Happy Father's Day.
Forgive me. How come I didn't do that?
Oh,
Forgive me.
No
Happy
worry.
Father's Day to you and to everyone else.
Thank you.
Happy Father's Day.
Yes, curriculum review, I mean, it's supposed to be done every 5 years. But that is when you are set, you know that everything is correct, everything is going on well. Then periodically you look at the trends and you try and review, do some minor review. But along the line, you do a major review. And the last one that we did was the 2017 that you asked, the 2017 that you were referring to.
Yeah.
But between 2007 to 2019, well, there have been some few reviews being done. But this is a major review that had taken place.
Okay.
I think that for the work that we do, or maybe with the educational landscape, this is perhaps the third major review that Ghana had undertaken.
Okay.
And we had to do that. You know, such major reviews come as a result of contemporary or societal changes. I mean, sometimes you want to see whether what you are doing is relevant to contemporary society. Sometimes you look at social and cultural changes. MFA, there has been tremendous, I would say, very dramatic change as far as the global trend is concerned. And if we are to catch up with what is happening now, then we need to do this major review. You know, we are in Education 4.0, where we now look at knowledge economy, and technology is rather driving activities. And so it is important that Ghana also have to look at the trend and maybe change our focus.
Okay.
And so we've been doing the objective base for some time, but we think that if we are to catch up and be part of this 4.0 educational landscape, then we need to have a dramatic, and hence the move from objective to the standard-based curriculum.
So is it the case that we are having a total shift
Dramatic.
from what we have?
Dramatic.
So what will be new?
See, let's look at it this way. Emifa, what even broke the camel's back was the 2013. You know, NACA was part of GES. It was 2 units under GES, the assessment unit and then the curriculum division. And assessment unit, the activities that they undertake was to look at the proficiency level of kids or school-going learners. And in 2015, an assessment was done concerning the literacy and then the numeracy level of proficiency of the Ghanaian learners. And MFA, interestingly, the 2016 results, assessment results, gave Ghana 2%, only 2% of our P2 children that could read with understanding. And that was serious. And so the nation decided that, well, we need to quickly do something about that. And that is how come a transformational activity set in, educational transformation set in. A team was put together to do a review on our education. And then it was decided that we now have to have education strategy plan 2018 to 2030. Now, within that strategy plan, NACA was put in charge to redevelop and come out with a new curriculum. So 2 frameworks were developed. One was an assessment framework, and then 1 curriculum framework. The assessment framework moved us from that regime, what we used to a new regime, and then the curriculum framework also provided the standard base. And so 2018, and within that, what you projected, the 4 R's, was the key features that the new curriculum sought to project. Arithmetic, reading, creativity, and writing. And these were the 4 pillars that were driving the new curriculum. So after the framework was done, the curriculum was also developed. And then 2019, we started the KG to the upper primary one. And then later on, we added the common core, which is also standard-based, and that is for the JHS. So we are left with the last lap, and then we are done. Now, let me say that when the curriculum was developed and implemented in 2019, for the first time, we needed to check or to see the proficiency level. In one of the key features of this curriculum was also to not to wait until the children get to the end of their learning gap or the exit point before we can assess them. So along the line, periodically, you need to assess. So you assess them P2, P4, P6, and then JHS2, before they even get to JHS3 and exit. And the first assessment was done in P4, that was 2021. And then 2022, we did that for the P2 and P4. And MFA, that was also to check how the curriculum is running.
Okay.
And, you know, 2016, we said that we were having 2% of our P2 learners able to read with understanding.
Yeah.
In 2022, when we assess, that is the National Standardized Test, we have moved from 2% to 38%.
To 38%.
Which is a dramatic change. But it's still not good enough. What it means is that you still have about 62% of your P2 people who can read with understanding. So we need to work on it. But let me say that the 38%, that figure, it's higher than the targeted figure for 2025-2026. Which was 24.
Okay. 24%.
So with 2022, the 38%, which we still think that we should do more, was still higher than the targeted 2025-2026.
So far from the KG level all the way to the JHS level in terms of the rollout of the curriculum, from where you sit, it's satisfactory in terms of what you're expecting.
We are on course. We are on course. Seriously, we think that if we are to go the way we are going, in the coming years, in the next 5 years, we will see ourselves as a transformed educational landscape. We will definitely have to see. But you see, we need to make sure that we still tighten some of the loose ends. You know, the training for the basic, just when the rollout started, we were doing the training, then COVID sets in, and then everybody had to go indoors. And the president decided, no, you have to go back to the classroom. So the training was not actually up to the expectation. That is how come that with this SHS one, we don't want to leave any stone unturned. We are doing all that we can to make sure that
we're getting to that shortly. But I heard you say earlier, at least the reasons why we've had to have this massive review, the dramatic change that you talk about, the fact that we are way behind when it comes to the curriculum that we use as a country. But really, how is it that we are not keeping with the times, that we had to be so much behind that we have to have a dramatic change, which is causing a lot of panic in the system?
I wouldn't say this is panic. I wouldn't say that it's panic. But you see, by and large, you know, within the last 6 years or the last 10 years, globally, there have been dramatic turn of events. Dramatic turn of events. And you see, curriculum development or review is also quite financially tasking.
But the Cambridge systems and the other systems that we know have not changed drastically.
Oh, who says? Even in the UK, even they are doing it yearly.
Yes.
But you see, you need to do a major one, and then periodically you do that. And so now that we've done the major one, periodically we will be reviewing it. And you can, even in the last year, we looked at the primary one, and we did some minor review. And that's how come that we are saying that even our older people, we have to put it on hold because of the review that we have done. We have to put it on hold. We need to repackage it and probably bring it back in another way.
I'll be doing a lot of audience questions this evening because there are a number of questions that have come in that we have to go through. But so the first concern or the first key thing that people have been asking is that, is it the case that we are introducing the Cambridge system, or is it that we're just throwing away what we have and introducing the existing ones that we know from other countries? Is that what exactly is going to happen?
Okay. when you say we are bringing the Cambridge system, no.
Okay.
We have developed our own Ghanaian own curriculum.
Okay.
Let me say that the senior high school curriculum that we are talking, even the primary and then the JHS, were developed by Ghanaians, fully Ghanaians.
Great.
Now for the senior high one, for every subject, we had university teachers, we have colleges of education, we had even secondary school, and sometimes even JHS teachers. And then we had the industry, and we also had WAEC. For every subject, we have this group of people put together to develop, and these were Ghanaians. And so it's not like we are going to adopt or adapt. No, this is Ghanaian own curriculum that we have developed. Okay. And we think that looking at where we are and what we want to achieve, this is the best for us. The standard base is the best for us.
Okay, so now let's get into it. Let's dig deeper. What's going to happen? What will be new with this?
All right. Now, the major thing which is new is the fact that this new curriculum does not focus on programs.
No, what does that mean?
Okay, so the one that we are running now, we have like general science. So when you opt for general science, you do courses in general science. And then we have home economics. When you opt for home economics, you do subjects in home economics. When you have general arts, you do subjects in agri science, subjects wholly in that area. You don't have the luxury of moving to other areas. And that is program oriented. So what it means, if I decide to do home economics, then I have to do food and nutrition, clothing and textiles, and then art. So it was more rigid. Agri science, you have to do horticulture, animal husbandry, and those agri and other stuff. But this new curriculum is subject focused. Subject focused.
So if I'm doing science, for instance, as it stands now, at least the areas that I'm a bit comfortable with, if you're doing science, you're doing elective maths, you're doing biology, physics, chemistry, and then you have your core. You're saying that I can move away from these 4 now?
Okay, so what it also means that, we used to have 67 subjects. We've scaled it down to 32.
Okay.
So we've scaled it down to 32, and we've added 5 more. Those are the STEM courses, the STEM subjects. So we now have 37 subjects. Now, within that, we've come up with some new subjects. Now, physical education and health is an elective subject.
Okay. PE?
Yes, it's an elective subject. It's PH now.
Why?
Okay. You say PE is not just physical, it's about health.
Because what we know is just PE going to play and...
but there's more to that than that. And then within that also, we think that, you see, MFA, back in school, during sports activities, there are some students who come to school for 3 weeks and they graduate. you know them? There are students doing sports activities, you go and bring them from the streets, and they join. You can find their names on the register. After the sports, they are gone.
Prof, this was happening in just your school.
No, my school it never happened. But we could see some of these things in some other schools.
Yeah, yes.
But what it means that these people also have potentials. So why don't we create the subject for them, and then they can add others so that they can also graduate. And the universities are doing sports science, physical education, and health. So it means that you need to find a pipeline and feed these programs in the universities. And so we've developed physical education and health.
Okay.
The visual arts, which used to be a program, is scaled down. And now we have 2, what we call art and design studio and art and design foundation. Agric science, we've scaled down. So we now have agric, and then we have agric science. Okay. Now, the difference is that the agric is an elective subject now, which takes you into agric economics and other stuff. But the agric science is for everybody. And so the school decided that for us, we are agric-oriented school. Anybody who gets to the school, you have to do agri-science for year 1.
Compulsory.
Year 1 and 2, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And would it be practical or is just
no.
the what we know?
This is standard based. So we need to understand the competencies. And these find space in the new curriculum. It's not just theory that we are doing. And also, we've also diversified, or we also come up with a new assessment. And what it means is that assessments are done at any time that the schools start, or the subject starts. So we expect teachers to be assessing students with so many forms of assessments, not just the exit one. Our framework for assessment now have assessment for, assessment of, and assessment as learning. And all these things, we want to find it in the classroom. Now, what it also means is that for a child to exit the senior high school, you have to do a minimum of 7 subjects and a maximum of 9. Now, let me go back to your question. If you are doing science, you have to take subjects in science, subjects in arts, subjects in language.
Okay, so 3 categories.
So what it means is that your core will be maths. And now, students are not doing elective maths and core maths.
No more.
Okay.
Okay.
I wish we could project the maths that we used to do. No, the core maths had specific topics, which was also done in the elective maths.
Okay.
About 13.
So we have that on the screen now.
Yes. Okay. So on the top screen were subjects or topics that you can find in both core maths and in elective maths.
Okay.
Logical reasoning, vectors, probability, statistics, trigonometry, sequences, and so on. These were topics that you can find in the core maths and then in the elective
maths. Yes.
Now, so on the lower side, on the right, on the screen, those were elective maths together with the ones on the top. And then the core maths were the ones on the left together with the ones on the top. But the issue here was that elective maths principles are different from core maths principles. So even though you have some topics which you find them in elective maths, the principle that you apply them in elective maths should not be the same as you do it in core maths. Okay. And so it is possible for a student to get A1 in elective maths and still get D and F in the core because the child may apply the principles of elective maths.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this time what we have done is we have looked at the topics that are relevant for a modern maths or somebody to be competent in maths. And that is what everybody is doing. And when you do that, you are done. However, we have what we are now referring to as additional mathematics. And that is for...
That's the add maths of the old.
Well, okay. you might choose to say add maths for the most. But when you go in, you realize there are some slight differences. Okay. What it means is that these are topics that one will need if you want to do engineering and other hardcore science. And so if a student wants to do engineering in the tertiary, then he will have to choose additional mathematics as an elective.
Okay.
Other than that, you do your maths. And you see, before we started, we had to do stakeholder engagement with vice chancellors of technical universities, industry, colleges of education, and a whole lot of people.
How extensive was that?
Oh, it was quite
stakeholder engagement. Were the students themselves engaged?
Yes, yes. I wish you could have some of the pictures. When we were doing this, we were doing them in phases. After the first phase, we had to go and do pre-trialing to check. We brought students to be part of the writers and engage with the writers, share their stories, share their problems, share what they find wrong in the curriculum that they are doing, for the writers to also see and see how best they could.
What were some of the key concerns for the students themselves in terms of what?
One of them was this. In fact, a science student was saying that he doesn't think that we are being fair to even the art students, because some of the things that they do in elective maths, they are also doing it in physics.
Okay.
So it means that they, right from the beginning, are having an advantage over these art students who are doing also elective maths. Okay. So there were a whole lot of that. Okay. Now, I mean, to do any program in the universities, you need only 2 subjects.
Only 2?
Yes.
Hey.
Only program, any program that you want to do. You mention that, and I'll tell you. Mention any program you want to do. If you want to do pharmacy, you need chemistry, you need biology. If you want to do medicine, you need chemistry, you need biology. If you want to do chemical engineering, you need maths, and you need chemistry.
So how come we're taking through all?
Well, that is also a question that we all have to. But you see, because of the program area that we were doing, if you are doing even agric, all the subjects that you are doing in agric, it's 1. If you go to the university, you take it as 1, agric. And if an agric student fails to get the best grade, that will allow him or her to do agric science, he's lost.
Okay.
It's lost. But this time, we have freed some of these courses. So if you are doing agric science, yes, you do agric science, but you now have the option to do biology, you have to do maybe chemistry, you can do economics, you can do geography, and then combine.
Okay.
If you are doing home economics, you know home economics is more or less science. The food and nutrition, the clothing and textiles and others
and the arts,
are in the strands. So if you are doing home economics, you do food and nutrition, home economics as strands, but you are doing home economics as 1.
Okay.
Now it means that the child who is doing home economics can also do biology, chemistry, even additional mathematics, economics, and everything, so that he or she can combine.
And plus the languages as well.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
so even for a science student,
you have to do literature. You can do literature.
Oh.
You can do French.
Okay.
So depending on the school's ability, they will decide that, okay, for us, if you come here, our focus is for science students, you do literature English every year, first year. Everybody will have to do it. Now, the good thing is that we are going to run transcript-based assessments. And I indicated earlier that a child will exit with a minimum of 7 and then a maximum of 9. But even that cap of 9 will still open up. Thursday, I was at the WAEC Distinction Award, and all the students, A1 in all the 8 subjects. Now, those students, if you give them 10, they will still get 8
yeah.
in 10. Now, what it means is that even though we cap at 9, a gifted and talented student can still do 10 or 11.
But it appears you're focusing more on the gifted and talented, the more intelligent students.
No. Then that is why it's standard-based. It means that everybody have to get this minimum standard. And therefore, we have also introduced interventions, what we call remedial English and mathematics.
Okay.
Now, if a child is weak in English, you just have to take the 7, but add the remedial English. And it's on the timetable. So
if a student is doing 9, the maximum, which you say with the cap, which can still be reviewed, is doing 9, and I am doing 7, does it not affect me?
No, it doesn't affect you. How many subjects do you need to go to the university?
Okay, 6, most of the time.
Well, but what it also means is that within first year and your 3rd year, you can even do 11, 12, or 13.
Okay.
Now you decide that we have subject that you want to do in year 1, so you can do 13 or 12.
Okay.
Then you go to year 2, you can scale down to 10. Now, all those subjects that you have done in the year 1 and year 2, you'll find them on your transcripts.
Okay.
So even though you are exiting with 9, on your transcript, you have 2 or 3 subjects that you have done in year 1, year 2, which will count to when you get into the university.
But for many parents, at least as we go on, I'm sure that it will be clearer as we start rolling out amongst others. But choosing these subjects, are the children or our nieces and nephews, are they going to get the help that they need in terms of which way to go and what to choose, which will be in line with what you want to do ultimately?
Thank you. You know, now GES, and you know, we are working with GES, we are working with NTC, NASIA. Now GES is moving all their guidance and counseling staff, teachers, who are in the classroom. Now they will be focusing solely on these activities. And they will be having their offices in the school to guide the children. Of course, the teachers will also help in that. So that when you get to, now we want to even start from JHS 3, so that the child going to the SHS 1 at least have an idea. When you get to first year, what it means that you can do a bit of science, a bit of arts, and then a bit of languages, and then agri science. Now, a home economics student can do home economics, do chemistry, biology, can do economics, can do visual arts, which is now arts and design.
Okay.
When he gets a good grade, which maybe the university was, he can still do medicine. Because he did biology, he did chemistry. And of course, he has done his core, which
Even though he did home economics?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying, that you need 2 subjects to do medicine. So apart from your core, maths, social studies, English language, which are the core. Of course, there are some schools that will also want to do arts and design foundation for the science.
Okay.
Now, if your subjects are not going to have science related, you have to do general science. So what it means is that we are no more doing the integrated science and then biology, chemistry again. You can't do that. If you are doing physics, chemistry, biology, you don't do the general science.
Okay.
But if you are not doing the sciences, then you have to do general science as your core, so that now you can do the other humanities.
Okay, so there will be help with these permutations that ought to be done with the children.
Will have these things there for the children to know. And of course, the guidance counselor and teachers will also guide them. Okay. Now, I can choose to, like the home economist. You know, a friend of mine, the daughter, wanted to do dietetics in Care University. She did home economics, which is the food and nutrition, clothing, and whatnot. She did biology, all right. Okay. But she didn't do chemistry. And Care University, to do dietetics, you need chemistry.
You need chemistry.
Now, that child can do chemistry, can do biology, can do the home economics, can do economics, can do art and design, and can do technical. So what it also means is that even a science student can do business, because he now has the chance to do business studies, accounting,
I see,
literature. So you have your physics, chemistry, biology. You can also do literature in English and French.
Okay. Well, the issue also is about the teaching. At least I can speak for myself. When we were in school, the issue about maths, it's still a problem for me. I still have to count my fingers to count maybe 1 plus 1.
Oh, then you're good.
I have to count my fingers.
I asked somebody. I gave him some money, and then I was just asking. He counted the number, the notes, and then he was trying to get calculator. He was like, I said, oh.
That reminds me of somebody. My boss, one of my bosses.
Multiplying the currency that you are holding by the number.
Even Kweku was super. He has to still count the money. You have to count for him. You can't count the money. Well, I'm sure I'll be in trouble tomorrow, but that's fine. But really, the issue is about teaching. The teaching is also the concern for many. And many parents say the issue about the teaching, how the children are taught, is also the key issue. Will anything be different with this particular one?
Right. Like I said, we've moved from the objective base to standard base. Now, in the new curriculum that we are running, we have what we call differentiated learning. Okay. Differentiated learning. You know, when we were in school, back in secondary school, even in KG, for a week, the teacher will say, we have role A, role B, role C, role D. If you sit in role A for maybe 2 weeks, he says, no, you
change, go
move.
here.
That was differentiated approach. Teachers were intentional. They were grouping us based upon our ability to absorb. And so for role A, who the teacher thinks that, oh, these are more or less sharks. In order not to drag them, you have to give them a different line, and then the teacher concentrates on the C and then D. That is differentiated learning. Along the line, we lost it. Now, this new curriculum, we are intentional in differentiated learning to be sure that those that are low, they will be up. And all these are captured in the manuals that we have developed for teachers.
Okay.
We've taken about 1 year to develop what we call professional learning communities, where teachers meet, they discuss the subjects and their approach to teaching every week.
I see.
And we've run this for 1 year.
For a year?
Yes.
Okay.
The materials, we have developed them, we've given them out, we've developed the teacher manuals, we've given them. We are still on training to be sure that the teachers grasp it and handles it.
And how has it been so far?
So far, so good. Let me share some testimony which was shared to me by one of the teachers who have been part of this training. I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw her. Miss I said, hey, why the night like this? Then in the morning, she was the first to call. She said, Prof, I wanted to share this news for you. She decided to use the approach that are being trained now, even though the students who are in are not the standard-based students. She decided to use the approach for her class. And so when she went to that topic, she went to the classroom, she grouped the children into groups, and then gave them the topics. 15 minutes, they were asked to come back and report. So they gathered. Now, there's this girl, and this was a year 2 class. This girl, from year 1 to the year 2 that they are in, she hardly even answered questions. She's seen as the daft girl in the class. But this time, she led her group and did the presentation and answered all questions that were coming from her mates.
Wow.
And the whole class was in jubilation. And when the class ended, the teacher went to her and he said, what sudden change? He says, Madam, this is how I can understand things. And the teacher was in tears. For all those times, she was using the wrong approach. And they thought that this girl was a daft child.
So good.
So we believe that we are on course. If we stay on with this training and teachers understand and they start applying them. You know, for those coming to SHS 1, the JHS, they are the first group of people in the the standard base.
Okay.
And so they can never go and do the old one.
Okay.
They can't go and do objective based.
So that's the rollout you're talking
Yes.
about. So those who are going to be writing the BC next month,
yes,
they will be the ones to start the rollout with this particular
I
new
know
curriculum.
some parents jump their children for year 1. What they did was they moved them from the new curriculum to an old curriculum.
Okay.
I mean, it's quite unthinkable. But that's what they did. But for those who are running now, they are going to have smooth transition.
Okay.
Because you see, when we were developing the curriculum, we didn't look at it at 3 years. Even though the senior high is 3 years. The secondary is 6 years. We have the junior secondary and then the senior secondary. So we look at the bigger picture of 6 years. And then we did it in such a way that, in fact, some of the common core, we had to look at how to review them before even they got to the 3rd year.
Okay.
To be sure that at least they are aligning and they are going to get smooth sailing and smooth transition from the JHS to SHS. And we believe that what we have done and with the training that we've given teachers and the support that we are having, in the next 5 years, we will be...
So those who are in SHS 1 now, SHS 2 and SHS 3, they are not part of this. They will be the final batch for the old curriculum.
When we finished, we had to trial the subjects. So we zoned the country into 3: middle, upper, lower zones. Now, each zone, we had category A, category B, and category schools. And we gave them the curriculum, the teachers, to teach. So we gave it to them to teach without giving them any training, any orientation. And then when they were done, we had to sit down with them, had discussions. They told us about their difficulties and other things. And then we gave them the training, the manuals, and how we want them to do. And they went back to do the teaching.
Okay.
After that, we had interaction with them and with their children. Some of the children were saying, why did you wait for us to leave before you are bringing this? They got the understanding very well. Now we are trialing all the subjects in 33 schools.
Currently.
Hoping that by October we'll be done. We'll look at the review, tie the loose ends, and then October we are ready to roll out. Because this JHS 3 can't go and do the objective base. They will definitely have to continue with this.
We have a few months more to that October for that main rollout to be done. Most of the time, the issue is about textbooks, availability of teaching materials, textbooks, to make it easy for that particular, rollout of the new curriculum. Are these plans in place?
Yeah, let me say that NACA, our mandate is to assess and approve textbooks. We don't develop textbooks. So when I go ask people say, how do you develop the textbooks? No, that's not our mandate. Our mandate is to assess and approve. However, knowing that this is a new curriculum, we have to develop resource materials for the school and then the learners. Now, for the teachers, we are done. I've told you about the teacher manual. I've told you of the PLCs that we've gotten.
So each manual for each subject. For each subject. I've seen this one for aviation and aerospace.
Yes, this is for aviation
and this is for SHS?
Yes.
Aviation and aerospace.
Now, the good thing is that aviation and aerospace is for the STEM. For the STEM, we have aviation and aerospace, biomedical, engineering, science, and then we have the manufacturing, and then we have the agric. So robotics too. So the STEM schools will be doing that. But beyond this, the non-STEM schools, if a school decides that you want to adopt some of these STEM subjects, they are free to do that. I mean, like Efia Kobi, it's not a STEM school, but they are doing aviation and aerospace.
I see.
GSTS is doing engineering science, and they will also want to add aviation and aerospace. In fact, Adisco have put up a STEM center, and they want to do all the STEM subjects. So even though we've developed this for the STEM schools, the non-STEM schools
can also take
up. Robotics is for everybody. Robotics, it's not just for STEM schools. The non-STEM schools can do that. And all the materials, and when I say the materials, the resource materials for the teachers are all done. As I speak with you, the subject associations under the leadership of NAT and NAGRAT are also developing materials, manuals for the learners.
Okay.
And they started about 2 months back. They will be finishing in a couple of weeks. When they are done, they will bring it for us to review and check whether they are the resources needed for the learners. And when it's done, we
are we not behind time with that?
We are not. We are on course. When we are done, all these materials will be on our website. We also have a
at least because you're under trial, at least you're doing this piloting in 33 schools so far. At least one would have thought that
they have them.
They have
for all the schools,
the textbooks.
For all the schools that are trialing, they have the manuals. They have the materials that they are using. And these will also be on microsites where we have zero read, of data. Anybody at all can download them and then use them. You can have them on our site. If you go to GES website, if you go to TTEL, who are sponsoring our activity, you also have them there. And they are available. However, when it is done, it is now open for anybody, even you, if you think that you can develop standard-based textbook for us, you develop and bring it. And then we can do that.
For assessment and approval.
For assessment and approval. Now, one of the things that we also have brought on is the assessment. And I've told you that the assessment, it's assessment as assessment for an assessment of learning. Now, our assessment framework is what we refer to as the Web's Depth of Knowledge, the DOK. Yes, even though we have the new Bloom's taxonomy, this curriculum focuses mainly on the Web's depth of knowledge. Now, the DOK, we have DOK 1, DOK 2, DOK 3, and 4. What it means is that our assessments are mainly on DOK 2, 3, and 4. Now, the DOK 1 is more of remembering, recall. This time, our focus is not on recall.
Oh, why? No more Chu and Paul?
No.
Why?
No. We want to see competence. We want to see creativity. We want to see extended reasoning.
So now we don't have to reproduce or regurgitate everything that...
No. And that is where sometimes I get worried when people want to look at textbook.
Because sometimes when they are marking, they say, this is not what I told you to.
No.
Okay.
Let me give you
so now for definitions, I don't have to write dito.
Okay, now if you look at the DOK, we mirror it to the new Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. And the new Bloom's taxonomy, we have remembering, we have recall, and up to high order creativity, create. Now in the DOK, now if you look at the DOK, on the DOK 1, you see it starts down, but DOK 2, DOK 3 doesn't start from remembering and understanding. So what it means is that DOK 1, yes, you need to remember, you need to understand. Of course, in assessment, recall is also part. Okay. And so you can't say that you are taking off recall. Okay. There are situations that you need to recall. But if you move to DOK 2, you don't have remembering.
You have basic skills and concepts.
Yeah. So if you mirror it on to the new Bloom taxonomy, you see the highest in the creativity. So even in DOK 2, we expect teachers and students to do application, analysis, and then create.
Okay.
And this is the new assessment. Now, if you go to our website, the new, the BEC that we are coming to do, we've given some prep materials, and they are there. And this is the focus of the new assessment.
We are supposed to be having strategic thinking.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And extended...
Extended reasoning.
Reasoning, yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. And because, you see, we want to create. We want to see how creativity comes in. You can't assess 5 children and think that they should provide you the same answers. If they are reasoning, if they are creating, they'll create things differently. So this is the focus of the new curriculum.
Okay.
Somebody asked me, there was a question that he wanted to bring out. I think it was an RME, and then he wanted to find out whether there's a textbook. And I asked, why do you need a textbook? He says, sometimes we point them on textbook so that the answers. And I said, give me an example. And he says, you probably want to ask, give me 2 or 3 religious figures, prominent figures. And then I said, so you are expecting that the whole country, those 3 religious figures that you find them in the book are the ones everybody should produce. Now, there is a child in a particular town. His religious leader or somebody there is providing so much, doing so much services. And to that child, that is a prominent religious figure. Because you don't find him in the textbook or in the dailies, you think that he is not. So maybe what you have to do is, can you indicate things that a religious leader would do for you to indicate that he is a religious figure or a prominent religious figure?
Okay.
The child will give you the things that the person is doing in his or her hometown and the reason why he thinks that he is a prominent religious figure.
Okay. One other key concern is also the issue about children who present disabilities. At least some of us, we are disabled to a large extent.
Yes, you and I,
yes, both of us.
We are disabled.
We have key disabilities,
Sure.
and there are other kids also that have special needs.
Right.
They have key challenges. How are we factoring this into
Emifa,
the entire system?
this curriculum makes way for inclusive education.
Okay.
Inclusive. Everybody. As I speak with you, we are developing Ghanaian Sign Language curriculum. Adapted from what we have developed. And we are doing it for our brothers who are deaf. The review has come out. The first review is done. We gave it out for people to review, and they've come up with their comments. This afternoon, I was even going through some of them. Next week, we are going to meet, look at the review, and then work on them. Beyond that, we are also having the curriculum. We are translating them to our brothers who are blind.
Okay.
We have stakeholders in that space. We brought them together to discuss how best we can get them to help in developing the curriculum for the blind and for the deaf. And so they are there, seasoned people who are in that field. Now, beyond this, there are also indicators in the curriculum which allows teachers to check the inclusivity of the people in. Now, the inclusivity could be various levels of talent, and then those disabilities that we are talking about. We were doing some piloting of the National Standardized Test, a school at the Atomic Energy area. We went there. No, that program, during the piloting, and even the main one, teachers are supposed to help the children fill the first part on the form before they start the test. And there was this boy who was sitting there, and you could see that he was drawing. I went closer, and I asked, the teachers asked you to fill those things on the board. Then he says, I can't see what is on the board. I said, really? He said, yes. Then I asked the teacher, this gentleman can see, but he's in your class. Are you aware that? He says, no. I said, no. And he said, then can you please change his position? So he moved the child from the back to the front. And within 5 minutes, the guy is done.
Finished.
And I'm like, so what will be the grades of this boy in the class? He's disabled.
Yeah.
And so we have these indicators.
Okay.
The new curriculum look at social inclusiveness. We want to be sure that we carry everybody along.
Okay.
And so even in the strands and the sub-strands, we try as much as possible to map them. Now, one major thing that we are highlighting in this new curriculum is our national values.
I was just going there. It's unfortunate that we're really out of time on this, but you mentioned earlier that everyone on board on this, fully Ghanaian, and the concern that people have raised is that how are you able to assure us that we are not importing any foreign culture into this new curriculum, maybe a backdoor to smuggle things such as even LGBTQ amongst others?
After we did this, we've done major stakeholders, more than 20. As I speak with you, we are touring the whole country.
Okay.
We met the National House of Chiefs, and I think it was Mampohene, who he looked at me and said, my brother, tell me, I'm going to go through the curriculum. Are you sure you don't have anything like LGBT? And I said, Nana, these were developed by Ghanaians, traditionally understand our concept. There is no iota of LGBT in that. Purely Ghanaian, wholly Ghanaian. And I don't see where we are going to put that thing. It doesn't find space.
Okay.
So trust me, I can say with authority that the curriculum that we have developed, there's nothing like LGBTQ++.
Thank you so much, Professor Edward Appiah. Of course, we haven't exhausted everything, and subsequently, I'm sure that we'll get to engage more on this new curriculum until you roll out in October, and even after the rollout, we'll keep on engaging on that. We are grateful for your time. Professor Edward Appiah is Director General of NACA, has been my guest here on The Probe. Another edition comes your way same time, right here on the Joy News channel. I am MF Apau. Have a good evening. Thanks for your company.